major happens here in the United States, so that would cause the United States to go do something really stupid again.
Okay.
And secondly, they don't want to have martial law or any interference with what's left of the American democratic system. And the other thing that they are doing is making sure that the process of peace and harmony and change on this planet occurs. So they are overseeing that. So what they are doing is making sure that things pretty well stay in the same status so that there can be actually changes in our democracy here in the United States. And secondly, they're making sure internationally that things don't get too out of hand, that we suddenly create a situation where there could be some kind of war or catastrophe related to it. So because their job is to prepare this planet for first contact, not to prepare it for some massive disaster.
Do you believe or do you think that the governments are close at hand to, I know France and Brazil and a few others have started to release and disclose their UFO files, and I hate using that word UFO. I like to come up with a new terminology, but for the lack of a new terminology, to admit that they've had interaction, to admit that there are agreements that these governments through the world have had for a very long time, since we talked about Roswell. There have been agreements that have been made and broken, and we're back to that again. Do you think that perhaps that this time the first contact you're talking about is going to be for the common man like you and me instead of going to the governments?
Well, the governments will be the first stage because there has to be a change in governments and the general environment around the planet for first contact to happen in a way that just maximizes what it's about. But they also know if that doesn't happen, if first contact happens, their technology is such that they can still pull it off with no problem. But they would like to really, their maximum scenario is one in which governments change to the point where they will be allowed to do full disclosure. Because once people have full disclosure, the whole process of what's going on in the skies changes. It's not just people trying to do massive misinformation or disinformation programs, and they're not trying at any time to say that what you just saw doesn't exist. You know, like they have the most famous planet they like to pick on is Venus or Jupiter.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes people who are experts at amateur astronomy will look up in the sky and say that's not any one of those planets. They were on the other side, and their periodicity is entirely different than it wouldn't show up there anyway. So that is what is happening, is they use people who don't have any expertise to just overwhelm them with crazy ideas about what's really going on up there.
Well, it's also very difficult. One of the things that is very positive is that more and more programs such as Larry King Live, he's more and more getting at least into the dialogue about these kinds of things, and you're seeing more and more on the History Channel and Discovery Channel. They're still kind of beating the drum of the old stuff, but it's still an education of the first level to at least accept the idea before they can really kind of give you the whole thing. Do you think we're going to see this in our lifetime?
Oh, yes. We're very close to it.
I think so, too. I have been getting from my conversations and my downloads, as I call them, and I got this 2 years ago that it was going to be 2009 was going to be a very big year. And this was before anybody else had said anything, and now there seems to be a head nodding of, yeah, it's coming a lot quicker than we thought, which is, to me, it's a good thing. I know there has to be a bit of, or there seems to be a bit of chaos before we're going to go through any major changes, such as what's going on in our banking systems and our and all of that. And I think it's all tied into this ascension, don't you?
Oh, yeah. The traditional systems that have been running this planet for millennia are no longer able to maintain themselves in levels they did before, and that, I think, is part of this whole change in consciousness. We have to change how we look at the world, the perceptions of how we live in society, and the perceptions of how we are supposed to change. We have to go to other realities, other concepts, other conceptions. And that's what's happening right now. People are moving away from traditional viewpoints to ones that are more akin to what we've been talking about.
Right, and I think they're staying open or beginning to open up, because I laugh every time is some of the subject matter I write about, which is exactly what we're talking about tonight. I have one daughter that stays on the fence, and she goes, well, I believe it's possible, and I have another daughter that I think it probably frightens her, and yet I have to say she read my last 2 books, and she goes, Mom, she goes, that was pretty interesting. And I found that statement alone was a big deal for me, because I was surprised that she didn't say, you're nuts. We're gonna have to do something about you. But we've got about 4 minutes left here, Sheldan. I just wanted to ask you to kind of sum up some things here about what is humanity's future, and how does this all tie in together what we've already discussed here tonight?
Well, what humanity's future is to move from being the limited conscious beings that we are right now back to being fully conscious beings. Those are beings that have combined the physical with the spiritual, have become what I like to call, as they have me use, physical angels. And as physical angels, our job is to protect and expand the divine plan throughout physicality. And so that's what we are here for, and that's what we're doing. And one of the basic projects that we are about is helping to create a fully conscious solar system from the sun all the way out to the farthest planet. So to me, we are changing, the planet is changing, and we are also going to see that we are not alone. And that's the other aspect that I'm very heavily involved in, which is that these UFOs, as they call them, are really IFOs. They're identified flying objects. They're not things of the figment of the imagination. They are real. They are benign, fully conscious beings who are here to help us transition from this limited consciousness to being fully conscious. And so to me, the whole process is positive. We're not headed toward monstrous disasters and all the other things were involved with that process. Asteroids aren't going to run into our planet and extinguish humanity, and stuff like that is not going to happen. We are in a process of change, and that this change is positive, as I said, and it's all about becoming beings of light who are here to help bring the divine plan into its full manifestation in physicality.
Well, I love the way you articulated that, and I also believe that the Galactic Federation has such a huge part in all of this as far as are there hostile beings out there? Yes, but we have hostile people here on our planet. So I believe that we're star-seeded from many places, and we kind of are all here together on this planet trying to make it work. And I think that the Galactic Federation is going to be and has been our guardians, our stewards that are leading us into the right place. And they're placing people, waking people up, people such as you and I. You've had your experiences since a young child. I just started waking up maybe about a half dozen years ago, and so now I've actually quit corporate America, and this is my lifestyle now. So it's no mistake that we're all starting to, small networks are starting to join together, and I think it's very encouraging that people want the change. They're looking for it. They're willing to say, well, like I think what was it, the Jodie Foster movie, Contact, that, we're not, if we were here alone in this big galaxy of ours, what a tremendous waste of space that would be, for sure. Sheldan, one more time, we've got about a minute left, let's give your contact information. Speaking of contact.
Right. Well, to order or to look at materials, like we like to call consciousness tools, go to www.paoweb, that's one word, paoweb.com, paoweb.com, and just check out our website. Or if you want to call us about products that you see on the website, use our voicemail and we'll get back to you. And that voicemail is 808-573-3110.
Sheldan, it has been such a delight to have you on tonight, and trust me, we could probably go on for another hour or two, and I would love to have you back on the show, and I know folks would love to hear more about what you're talking about. Any books in the offering here? Are you writing any more books right now?
I'm close to writing another book. I haven't quite gotten there yet, but it's coming together.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, and blessings to you for the work that you do with the Galactic Federation. We'll be talking again real soon, I'm sure, and hopefully that we'll get the answers that we've been seeking, and we'll get to be the fully conscious human beings, galactic beings that we're meant to be. Thank you again, Sheldan.
Well, thank you again, Louise, for having me on the show.
Oh, my pleasure. And for my listeners, thank you for listening. And now that's what I'm talking about. See you next week, everybody. Good night.